Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy Stefan back from the OPTC video, and in today's video we're diving into the 15-star event Super Boss against SOBA Mask. And in today's video we're using boosted characters and some high damage teams to take down this particular event. Now I already made a video that doesn't use any of the anniversary exclusives. We're not using stuff like Khalifa, but today we're using everything at our disposal. The support unit, new legends, all the fun stuff to try and get as much damage out of this particular Super Boss. And look, it's worldwide celebration. Stereotypically, this is the worst or hardest or most annoying or like most arrogant, most fucked, like whatever you want to call it. This is probably the worst Super Boss of the year. And stereotypically, when an anniversary character comes out, we get these stupid mechanics because anniversary characters bring so much unique stuff, like Captain Shift, for example, and it makes the event quite challenging. On top of that, we received, what, 3 anniversary exclusive characters. On top of that, we got a Kazuna Legend who's pretty much made to work alongside 2 of the anniversary units. So like, it's a lot, but if you did manage to pick everything up, you're probably going to do quite some good damage, and you're going to be able to put in a little bit of work for your alliance. And in today's video, we're going to break that down for both of the events. Again, if you guys want to check out my other video, I did put out a video that doesn't use any of the new anniversary exclusive characters. We are just utilizing some of the older characters, and I'll test them as well. Don't stress, we'll do playthroughs. So make sure you hit the bell notification, make sure you hit the subscribe button, all that fun stuff for me, and it helps me out a great deal, and it'll help you guys out a great deal with some team building and whatnot too. Apologies for the nasally sound as well. I'm still quite unwell, so we're going to try and get through this as quickly as possible, and hopefully it doesn't gross you guys out too much. Fighters, shooters, and powerhouse get all the good stuff on the 15-star against the strength variation. So, very nice stuff there. On Battle 2, they introduced this new mechanic where they are going to roll back super switches. So, your super switches will get reduced by 1 turn, which is annoying because they get 15 turns of cooldown there, so like, it's whatever. Normal attacks only 5 turns to ship by and 2 turns special reverse, and a 3 tandem slot barrier for 2 turns. They have all of the annoying Brook stuff, and then after 1 turn, they just do a whole bunch of nasty stuff. So, like, ideally, like, this stage here is, like, kind of made for Khalifa. Like, so you kind of want to just, you know, bring a friend Captain Khalifa, and you're going to be covered there. And if you have Luffy and Lucci, he's going to help you out with that particular barrier as well. On the final stage against SOBA Mask, there is full immunity for defeat specials, and then the percent damage cut, and then weak to fighters. So SOBA is definitely going to thrive in this particular environment. You get an 80% HP cut, normal attacks only, you lose type effects. Chain multiplier growth rate, you get 1 turn of super switch reduction. Your top row and middle right gets paralyzed, and then your bottom row and middle left gets bound. Full immunity except weakening effect, and then there is 3 turns of resilience. There's obviously all the Brook shenanigans stuff there still in. After 1 turn, there's 2 turn defense up, and as well as normal attacks only. So again, you can kind of see here that they really want you to utilize Khalifa as well as Luffy and Lucci. So team I put together looks a little bit like this. We are using a friend captain Luffy from the New Year's batch, the Snake Man, well, Gear 5 that can gear change. That's the unit we're going to be using as our captain. If you guys don't have Khalifa, I would probably recommend utilizing her as a friend captain. And then that way you kind of have to just use a different captain. You're going to lose like an increased damage taken and all that fun stuff. But at the same time, like, you're still going to have some pretty good damage there. On turn 2, you do get that 1 turn of super swap reduction, as well as having to deal with the barrier. So what you can actually do is just use the captain shift of Luffy and Lucci. The captain shift of Luffy Lucci is going to give you 2 turns of super swap charge, as well as giving you a it gives you 3 tandem orbs. It makes your Jason orbs tandem, so that's always fun. And then you can basically shift into captain if you want to, or you can sort of just stay as is. Now, I think the best way to play this, actually, now I'm thinking about it, is actually utilizing Luffy and Lucci as Luffy, and then switch into Lucci, and then on the final stage, switch back into Lucci. Does that work? No, that doesn't work, because then you won't have type advantage. Oh, it's not automatic because there is no type advantage. All right, cool. Yeah, so ideally then you just use the switch of Luffy and Lucci, go into the Lucci state, so that way you get the tandem orbs, and then you don't have to worry about using the Khalifa superclass and all that fun stuff until the next turn. Yeah, that's definitely the play. You get 2 turns of special reverse, but at the same time, the special reverse doesn't really matter because you're not using specials on this turn anyway. You're just basically going to use the captain shift of Luffy and Lucci. Oh, no, you don't even have to use the captain shift of Luffy. You could actually, if you have have type advantage, you can definitely use the Caulifla superclass, but it all depends on what that stage looks like. Because you get one turn of special, like a Super Swap reverse as well, you can use the Super Swap of Zorakaku. That's going to give you a 1.75 times attack boost as well. So it just sort of depends on what happens on that particular stage, really. But you do want to try and get some Super Swap charges for the final stage. So either you want to use the superclass of Caulifla to do that, or you do want to use the captain shift of Luffy and Lucci. Either way, like, both of them should work. I think Luffy Lucci as a captain is just better than Caulifla, if I remember correctly. They're at 5.5 times attack boost, approximately 6 times when HP is 70% or above, or 30% or below. Now, you do get an 80% HP cut, so you should be below the 30%. I would imagine you're below the 30%. That should work out nicely. I mean, Sanji's going to give you a bit of heal and stuff like that, so it's going to be close. It's going to be close. Now, Caulifla will actually give you up to 5.8 times. So, like, she might be better depending on the HP. And if she's better, like, we can just, like, revert the captain switch. Like, that's not too much of an issue. So, turn 2, utilize the switch of Luffy Lucci. That's going to give you base stats. It's going to give you the tandem orbs. Zoro and Kaku are going to give you an attack boost, which is great. And depending on if you have type advantage on turn 2, because we don't really know what that stage 2 typing actually is, you can use the super tandem of Caulifla, not super tandem, the super type. And then this will just give you a what's it called? It'll give you, oh, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, no, we do want to use this. We want to use this and not use the captain shift, because this will just nullify damage until you're attacked. So basically what that'll do is not only will you get this normal attacks only, not only will you get the type effect buff, but you'll also get a damage nullification buff that Jinbei has given. So what that means is that this 80% HP cut will not exist. This one, yeah, this 80% HP cut will just be non-existent, and that'll help with your rush taps as well, which is great. And that way you'll definitely be above the 70% HP threshold. So you will definitely want Luffy and Lucci as captain. Definitely the play. Once you captain shift into them, they are going to give you the 2 turns of Super Switch charge, which means that Zoro and Kaku will be ready to go. And on the final stage, you can use the Super Swap of Zoro and Kaku. And that's going to give you an attack and an orb buff. And then when you use the Caulifla special, you're going to get her attack boost, her orb boost, and this particular buff down here. It's like a perfect buff, which means it's just a straight up extra 2 times attack boost to your fighter, shooter, dex, and quick characters, which is awesome. Sabo is going to, EX, because you have 2 Luffys, is going to give you the 10 turns of auto heal, as well as give you a full board of a full board of tandem orbs as well. His EX super is also going to increase the base stat boost just a little bit. It's not a crazy increase, because like I think it's only 500 from the swap of Luffy and Lucci, but even still, 750 is just better than 500. Or actually, we'll have the base stats of Sanji, won't we? Yeah, Sanji's is 1500. So you want to make sure you use Sanji first. Hang on. Had to cough my lungs up, so apologies about that. So the idea on the final stage is you want to captain shift in with Luffy and Lucci. That's going to give you the overrideable buff. Then you can super switch with Zoro and Kaku. Zoro and Kaku are going to give you the attack boost and orb boost, which will be overrideable. Then you can use the Zoro Kaku special, you can use the Luffy Lucci special, and you can use the Caulifla special. At this point, you'll have a 3 times attack, 3 times orb, the extra 2 times buff, the 1.75, what's it called? The 1.75 set target. You'll have the conditional buff from Caulifla, the chain boost and chain boundary from Zoro and Kaku, and then you can go and use the Sanji special. Sanji can do some captain shift mechanics, but I don't think you'll need it at all, if I remember correctly. If you do need the captain shift of Sanji, you can basically go in and out of that might make it a bit tricky, actually. I'm not sure if you'll need the Sanji captain shift, because we do want to get into the Gear 5 form, and to get into the Gear 5 form of Luffy, we need either 3 Straw Hats or we need a whole bunch of super types and super classes. Let me just quickly check him. Okay, yeah, so I'm totally bugging because you'll have the EX of both Zoro Kaku and Luffy Lucci. You won't even need to captain shift with Sanji, so that'll be fine. Swapping into Sanji gives you the base stat boost. He's also going to be our rush character, and then once you use the EX of your friend Captain Luffy, you can get the tap timing buff. So Sabo gives you the 1.5 times chain multiplicative buff, as well as the class advantageous type. You'll have the conditional buff from your friend Captain Luffy. He does increased damage taken and he does weakening effect. So this team will just do absolute bits when it comes to damage. The Fukuro support, this one here, it gives you 1 turn of, what's it called? Switch effect when you use the special, but like that's really not going to matter all that much. Ideally, you probably want to use that on Luffy Lucci now I'm looking at it, rather than using it on Caulifla, because Luffy and Lucci are going to use their special before Caulifla uses hers. Caulifla's going to use it after the Zoro Kaku. So I don't even think you really need that support, like now that I'm really looking at it. Unless there's Despair. Is there Despair? No. Now I'm really looking at it, you really don't need that support at all, because you have her super type, her special, and all that fun stuff that can give the super swap cooldown. So that's the team. This team should do absolute bits. It should hit ridiculously hard, and I'm really keen to sort of test it out once we get to some of those later stages. We have the Vivi and the S-Snake support too. That's just going to give us more damage in terms of resistance down, and it's going to be very, very interesting. Moving on to the Dex variation now. This one was a little bit, not more challenging, but a little bit more interesting, because you have to do some fun stuff with Zoro and Kaku. Shooter slash cerebral characters get all the good stuff, and on battle 2 there's normal attacks only. Your super switches get reduced by 2 turns. 5 turns of friend Captain Despair, so that's 2 turns after sockets. 2 turns of defense up, 4 turns of damage reduction. And then there is a whole bunch of Brook shenanigans, Captain swap on death, and then after 1 turn you get a whole bunch of nasty stuff. So realistically, you have to use some sort of Captain swap mechanic or Captain shift mechanic to bypass this. It's just, again, one of those very annoying mechanics they bring in when they bring out these very intricate and unique characters. On battle 3, SOBA Mask has full immunity to defeat specials, and then Grey Shield. Weakening class is shooters, which kind of sucks because there's no like shooter weakness class ability, but it is what it is. Normal attacks only, remove type effects, 3 turns of special reverse. Your captain gets a super block orb, and then the rest of your crew gets block slots. Dex super type, special blind, despair, which go down 3 turns after sockets, and a 90% attack down with any slot basically that isn't rainbow. So super annoying there. There's anti-Brook shenanigans, and then there's also a interrupt if you use any conditional buff. So no matter how many times you use a conditional boost, then you just lose your beneficial effects. After 1 turn, they put up a block orb barrier, which is super annoying. And then there are just normal attacks only. So team I put together looks a little bit like this. It's a bit of a wonky one. It's a bit of a weird one. But the friend captain is a Zoro and Kaku. Interesting enough. Zoro and Kaku on their very first turn, depending if you start with Zoro, depending if you start with Kaku, will actually give you either a conditional buff against defense down and ignite, or defense down or increased damage taken. Now with this particular team, it doesn't matter who you start as. You lose type effects anyway, so it really doesn't matter, but Zoro is the one that gives the ignite, and then Kaku is the one that gives you increased damage taken. Now I'm going to start with Zoro just because I can guarantee myself the ignite ability thanks to Ace, but we have both increased damage taken and we have ignite on this team. So in hindsight, like you should be able to get both of them. Now the idea of this is you get 5 turns of this conditional buff. Now the design flaw here is when it comes to Kazuna, this first line right here in the quest guide that says preemptive for the cooldowns, that actually counts as a turn. So unfortunately, the 5 turns is realistically only 4 turns. When you move into battle 2, it goes down to 2 turns. So when you go into the final battle, it's actually gone. So you need to extend this, and you have to do it on turn 1. So we're going to super swap with Zoro and Kaku on turn 1 and use their EX, so that way we can extend it even further. So we have 8 turns of that conditional buff and carry it from the beginning all the way into the final turn. Now we want to super swap on turn 1 because we want to be able to use their special and their switch ability on the final stage, so that way we get the overrideable attack buff. That's the plan. Anyway, that's the plan. When you are in the dual form of Zoro and Kaku as well, you are going to get the damage reduction and defense up removal, and then with the captain shift of Luffy and Lucci, you get the crit buff. So then that way you can guarantee yourself getting around the defense up and the damage reduction on turn 2. To get around the despair, I have the white bid support on Ace. That's just going to trigger and remove the despair there. That's going to be super nice. We'll have the tap timing bonus as well. And on turn 2, we can actually use the Caulifla special super type as well. That's going to give us, what's it called? Super swap charge for 2 turns as well. So with this, we actually get back, 4 turns of super swap charge for our Zoro and Kaku. Now, it's not going to give him the super swap on the final stage, but at the end of the day, that doesn't matter because the super swap, the only thing we're really missing from it is the defense down setting to 0, so that way you can get the conditional buff. But we have other ways to get around that conditional buff thanks to Ace, or we have Robin there too. So turn 1, super swap with Zoro Kaku, use the EX. Turn 2, use the super type of Caulifla, and then captain shift with your Luffy and your Lucci character. Bring them into captain because you are going to want to get around the special reverse on the final stage. The final stage has 3 turns of special reverse, and when this guy is captain, you can just bypass that. Works really nicely, so make sure they're in the middle right and start as Lucci. With Caulifla is captain as well. When you hit perfects on the first turn, you're actually going to get like some healing. And then on turn 2 still, or stage 2 I should say, we're going to use the Yamato EX. And we're going to use the special Yamato. Now, Yamato needs Ace, Luffy, and Zoro, which we have for the team. She's going to give us an 80% damage reduction and then heal 10,000. And then also give us a 20% heal at the end of the turn as well. Now, I'm hoping with the perfect buff that Caulifla gives on turn 1, so like the healing that you get, as well as the Yamato 10,000 heal and the extra healing, we can then carry that into the final stage and get 30,000 healing for Robin. Now, Robin is on this team purely for the increased damage taken at 2.25 that bypasses full immunity. Now, if this doesn't work, if I don't get enough healing, then I'm just going to replace Robin with something else. The goal here is just so like I get enough healing, and then we can do that. Now, I mentioned you could probably learn like a Boa support here. That's another really good option. Like that's an extra 4,000 healing. You'll have like 14,000 with Boa and what's her name, Yamato there. So I'm hoping with the extra stats and stuff, hitting the perfects on turn 1 is really going to help out with getting that extra heal. But we'll see what happens there. So with that on the final stage, you'll have the damage reduction conversion buff. You have the swap of Lucci and Zoro and Kaku to give yourself a very small attack boost. Ace is going to be the orb boost for shooters, free spirit, and dex characters at 4 times. Luffy, Lucci are going to give you the double conditional buff, which remember you've carried in from way back when. Then you can use their EX to give yourself a full water tandem slots. They're also going to bypass super block on themselves. Zoro Kaku give you the chain boundary, the chain boost, the super tandem ability. And then Caulifla can override the attack boost and give you that perfect buff too, whilst also removing some of those annoying shenanigans. With the Fukuro support, you can remove their despair, and it should all work out pretty hunky-dory. So that's the basis of the initial teams. Hopefully they do quite nice things and they work quite well. But like I said, we'll definitely do some playthrough videos for all the teams that I've put out, including the 10-star teams, the no new batch teams, the no anniversary exclusives for the Super Boss and fun stuff there too. So make sure you hang around the channel because Kazuna goes live in about 24 hours and we should be pumping out some videos then. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you for watching and I'll catch you on the next one.